Hi, I am Shruti, and in this video we are going to cover empty text, how to write code inside the code, and some weird characters in HTML. Sometimes you want to put code inside the HTML document, sometimes you want to break some lines, sometimes you want to force a line to not break, sometimes you want to add the format in this. Suppose we have written this like this. Suppose we have written this like this thing here, but we don't want it to be look like this in one line. We want it to be in a different lines. So for that we use empty text, and there are lots of ways to do it. So the first thing we'll see here is line break. Line break, which is like stands for BR. A BR tag is used for a line break. So here I have added this poem. I've also added the lines like after end I want to break this line and go to the next line, but here it seems not like that. It seems to be a single paragraph, but I don't want it to be as a paragraph. So how we can actually do that with HTML? How we can actually settle up that in a format? So for that we use BR tag, which stands for the break. So after this we can use BR, and after, as I save this, you can see now we have a line break after this end. After this end we are breaking this line to the second line, and this is how we use it. Let me open this here. Now after this B1 traveler and everything right here, I want to break this line after where. So what I'll say is I'll say BR tag. Okay. BR tags are self-closing tags that like you can use like this. As you do, you have the line break after where. The same thing I'm going to do with everything and settle up this. So now you can see we have a line break after every element we want. Okay. Now this is what we call it as a line break, and we can use this empty tag. This tag doesn't have a closing tag. This is just closed as like this, or you can just say like this. This doesn't have a closing tag. All right. Let's move on to if we want a line break, but we want a line after it so that it says that it's ending from there. So for that we use HR. So here I have written this line with break, and this is our paragraph. What I need to do is after lay I want a line, and then I want to show this. So I'll go here after lay. Suppose let's say after lay I'll add a BR, so it will be a line break. You can see we have the line break after it, and this is in the second line, but we want a line between these. Okay, so instead of BR we use HR. As I save this, you have a line in between these both sentences, and they are now fine what we want. So this is how you create a format with that. The next empty tag, like not an empty tag, but the next thing is this, the starlight. I have written here this paragraph, but let's make it bigger. I have written here this paragraph, but this something looks like looks like a paragraph here, and this is not what I've written right here. I've written a format in a format like I have this spaces, I have these spaces, I have these spaces. So these cannot be done with BR or HR. This needs something different. So we don't want it to see it like this paragraph. So for that, for actually getting the same format we have written, we use the pre tag. So I'll open up the pre tag here, and afterwards this, I'll close the pre tag here. So as you close the pre tag and open up the pre tag, and I save this, and got this, you can see this got aligned. This got aligned in the same format we have written here. So this is what the pre-tag works. Pre-tag actually takes the format that we have written and gives it to the browser. Okay. The next thing is using code inside a paragraph. Suppose I want to say here h1, but when I use h1, it does something. Suppose I'll say here h1, but I want to write h1 as a text and not use it as an element. So I'll say h1 hello, whatever. Okay, I'll say hello. But here you can see we have a hello like this. We don't want it like this. I want this as a text. For that, we have some weird characters in HTML. For this, for writing this in a code, first of all, we need to actually write a code tag. And inside this code tag, whatever we write differs as a code. So let's say I write a CSS here. You won't understand what I'm writing because you don't know CSS for now. If you know that, it's good. So I'll say here, and this appears as a different text. You can see this font size are different. So this appears as a code. Okay. So that's why we use a code tag here. What if we want h1 like this inside this and not like element which will execute? So that for that we have weird characters. And for the less than sign we use LT. So we have this ampersand, LT and this semicolon. What this stands for? This actually stands for the less than tag. I'll save this. You can see now we have a less than tag here. Okay, but I don't only want the less than tag, I want the greater than tag also to save this. So in between I'll write h1 and then I will say ampersand gt and semicolon. As you save this, you have this h1 written here as a text and not as the code. The same thing you can do with the closing tag. Alright, so I'll say here it's closing tag. So I'll add this, save this. You can see we have a closing tag, and in between these, you can do whatever you want. I will write here, let's say hyperlearn. Save this. You got the h1 tag as a text and hyperlink in between. How cool is that? So these are some of the weird characters that are used in HTML using the ampersand and the semicolon. And these characters are known as HTML entities. HTML entities are written as the ampersand in between and the semicolon at the end. So instead of these smaller than, greater than, we have lots of HTML entities. Alright, for this ampersand, for making this ampersand, like I want to suppose I want to make this ampersand and not execute this as a code, then I can just say ampersand amp and colon. As I do this, you have this and symbol right here using this amp. So we have lots of HTML entities, so you can see a list of that in MDN docs. So just go to MDN, search for MDN, and you'll get the docs of HTML entities, and you can read that document because there are a lot and it's impossible to cover in this video everything. The next thing is forcing not to break the line. I have this particular thing. I have this line here. Suppose I want this front-end designer to not break. What I mean by this is, if I make it bigger, I'll do this. You can see front end is here, but designer is in the next line. And when I do this and this, the designer in the next line, but I want these both words to be in the one line only, no matter what. I want both of them to remain with each other, and I don't want to break them. Okay, so what I can use is an HTML entity named as ampersand NVSP semicolon. As I do this and save this, now you have NVSP in between, which forces line to not break. It is an empty tag. It doesn't have anything. It is an empty HTML entity. It just gives a space. So as I do this, you can see now front-end designer is not getting in the next line. Everything is getting that in the next line. The front end and designer both are getting in the next line, but not only designer. So they both are together now. No one can break them using this HTML entity. So using this HTML entity, we can give it the space in between characters, or we can force the line to not break. We can also give so many NBSPs here for a space, for a bigger space. So I'll just say here NBSP 4 NBSPs. I'll do this. You can see there is now a bigger space in between front end designer. So this is also used for the space, and this is also used for not forcing line to break. So you can just use it in whatever condition you want. So these were some of the HTML entities and some of the tags, some of the empty tags, and some of the important tags that you can use in HTML to make your code formatted. So that's it for this video. See you in the next one.